In the first millennium before our era, humanity had become a force that shaped landscapes and destinies. Great empires rose under the banners of Rome, Persia, and Han China, their cities pulsing with innovation, roads, aqueducts, metalwork, writing carved into stone and clay. Ships crossed seas, armies marched across continents, and philosophy, law, and myth flourished under marble columns and desert suns. Agriculture blanketed the earth, and forests were felled to feed fire, forge, and field. But beneath this bloom of civilization, the wild world began to wither. Large mammals, once dominant across continents, vanished from records and memory, pushed to extinction by the steady expansion of man. The hunt was no longer for survival, but for spectacle. Lions, leopards, elephants, and bears captured and slain in blood-soaked arenas for the cheers of Roman crowds. War trampled wilderness. Trade routes carried not only goods, but the seeds of ecological collapse. The earth grew quieter as hoofbeats faded and roars died in stone coliseums. And still, humanity pressed outward, torch in one hand, plow in the other, unaware it was already writing the final chapters of ancient wildness. The noble megapode was a giant flightless bird unique to Fiji and is the only known species of its genus. Though once thought to be a megapode, later studies revealed it was more closely related to Sylviornis from New Caledonia. This bird likely went extinct due to overhunting soon after humans arrived in Fiji. Its flightlessness is evident from its massive size, reduced wing bones, and lack of a keel on the breastbone. The unusually deep bill suggests it may have fed on hard seeds from native forest trees that no existing island animals can open. Fiji giant iguana was a large, robust iguana species once endemic to Fiji, distinguished by its estimated length of over 1.5 meters and likely vivid coloration similar to modern-day Pacific iguanas. As an herbivore, it fed primarily on leaves, fruits, and flowers. It occupied a terrestrial and arboreal niche, thriving in undisturbed island habitats. The species is believed to have gone extinct shortly after human colonization, primarily due to overhunting. Volia was an extinct crocodilian from Fiji, known for its deep snout, distinctive skull features, and diverse tooth morphology suited for a varied diet. Its limb bones, particularly the ulnar, suggest it may have been more terrestrial than modern crocodiles. Fossilized osteoderms indicate a heavily armored body with similarities to modern caimans and unique structural adaptations. Although its extinction is likely tied to ecosystem changes following human arrival, no direct evidence of hunting has been found, leaving the exact cause uncertain. The Tongan tooth-billed pigeon was a flightless pigeon species closely related to the modern tooth-billed pigeon of Samoa. It likely had a robust body, short wings, and a strong curved bill adapted for feeding on tough fruits and seeds in forested habitats. As a ground-dwelling frugivore, it played an important ecological role in seed dispersal. The species is believed to have gone extinct due to a combination of habitat loss, hunting by early Polynesian settlers, and predation by introduced animals such as rats and pigs. Another extinct island pigeon, Lakeba pigeon, was a large fruit dove endemic to the Lau Islands of Fiji. Unlike the ground-dwelling Didunculus, it was likely capable of flight and occupied the forest canopy, feeding primarily on fruits from native trees. The disappearance of Lakeba pigeon is thought to have been caused by human arrival, which brought deforestation and invasive predators that disrupted its fragile island ecosystem. The balsam shrew was an extinct species of shrew once found in the Nile Valley in Egypt. Physically, it would have resembled modern white-toothed shrews, small, with a pointed snout, soft fur, and a slender body adapted for insectivory. It inhabited moist environments near the river, where it likely hunted insects and other invertebrates in dense vegetation. Remarkably, mummified remains have been discovered in ancient Egyptian temples, indicating the species held religious or symbolic significance. Shrews were associated with the god Horus and possibly seen as protectors against evil due to their nocturnal and secretive nature. Although the exact cause of its extinction is unknown, habitat changes linked to agriculture, climate shifts, and the decline of Nile wetland ecosystems likely played a role. Muskox is a shaggy, cold-adapted herbivore that once roamed vast areas of the Eurasian steppes during the Ice Age. With a compact body, thick coat, and curved horns, it was well-suited to harsh tundra climates, grazing on grasses, mosses, and Arctic shrubs. It shared its ecosystem with mammoths and other megafauna, playing a crucial role as a large herbivore in Pleistocene food webs. Although the species survived extinction in North America, it disappeared from its original Eurasian range at the end of the Ice Age, likely due to a combination of climate warming and human hunting pressure. Fortunately, its survival in the Canadian Arctic allowed for reintroduction efforts during the 20th century. Thanks to these conservation programs, musk oxen have now returned to parts of their ancestral range. Vanuatu horned turtle was a large terrestrial turtle that once inhabited the islands of Vanuatu and is the last known representative of the ancient genus Meolania. This genus originated in Gondwana and was once widespread across Australia and nearby regions before disappearing from the mainland, likely due to environmental shifts and the arrival of human populations. Unlike modern turtles, Meolania species had club-like tails and prominent horns on their skulls, giving them a somewhat prehistoric armored appearance. Their diet likely consisted of tough plant material, which they browsed in forested island environments. The presence of this species on remote Pacific islands like Vanuatu suggests they reached these locations via ancient island hopping or possibly by being washed out to sea and surviving oceanic drift. On Vanuatu, they thrived in isolation until the arrival of humans during the Holocene. Archaeological evidence, including butchery marks on bones, indicates that early settlers hunted these turtles, likely leading to their rapid extinction. Syrian elephants were among the largest Asian elephant subspecies, comparable in size to the biggest Indian elephants, reaching over 3.5 meters at the shoulder. Though morphologically similar to Indian elephants, genetic analysis of 3,500-year-old remains from Turkey revealed a rare mitochondrial haplotype only previously identified in one modern elephant from Thailand. This suggests a possible natural expansion of Asian elephants into the Middle East, though some scholars believe they may have been introduced by humans. No elephas remains are known in the region between 200,000 and 3,500 years ago, raising questions about their origins. Syrian elephants likely went extinct around 700 before our era, possibly due to climate change and land use during the early Iron Age. During the Hellenistic period, Seleucid kings maintained war elephants, likely imported from India, as supported by ancient historians like Strabo and Polybius. Hannibal's famous war elephant Surus may have been of Syrian or Seleucid origin, though this remains uncertain. McPhee's shrew tenrec was a small, shrew-like tenrec endemic to southern Madagascar, likely resembling its close relatives with a slender body. Pointed snout and soft fur adapted for insectivory. It inhabited moist forest undergrowth. Its extinction is believed to be linked to habitat loss due to deforestation and human agricultural expansion, which have heavily impacted Madagascar's endemic fauna. Jamaica, the third largest Caribbean island, formed as part of a volcanic island arc in the late Cretaceous and was submerged for much of the Cenozoic before rising again in the Miocene. Few land mammals naturally colonized the island, with rodents being the most common remains found. Among its unique fauna was Xenocebus, one of only 2 ibis species known to have become completely flightless. Standing about 60 centimeters tall, it had unusually thick bones and a modified wing shaped like a heavy club, which it likely used as a weapon in fights. The exact timing of its extinction is uncertain, with remains dated around 2,500 years ago. It may have survived until early human arrival, but disappeared soon after. Law's diving goose was a flightless, goose-sized marine duck that lived along the California coast and possibly southern Oregon. It likely went extinct around 500 years before our era, with archaeological evidence showing humans exploited the species for at least 8,000 years. Fossil finds, including numerous bones and eggshells on San Miguel Island, suggest the presence of nesting colonies dating back over 13,000 years. Originally thought to be related to sea ducks, DNA analysis places it as a basal relative to modern dabbling ducks, showing an example of convergent evolution. Its robust skull, bill, and neck bones indicate it specialized in feeding on sessile invertebrates by forcefully removing them from hard surfaces. Human hunting, habitat loss, and predation are believed to have driven Chenditis laui to extinction. The consumed scrub fowl was a medium-sized extinct megapode from Fiji and Tonga, likely driven to extinction by overhunting after human arrival around 3,500 years ago. Subfossil remains confirm its presence on several islands, and historical accounts suggest it may have survived into the mid to late 90th century. A single egg collected in the 1800 years, unusually long and narrow for a megapode, might belong to this species, though it has also been attributed to others like Megapodius pritchardi. Kauai stilt owl was a large, long-legged, flightless or near-flightless owl once endemic to the Hawaiian island of Kauai. It had an unusually long tarsus and robust claws, suggesting it hunted primarily on the ground rather than from the air, unlike modern owls. Its diet likely consisted of small birds, such as Hawaiian honey creepers, which it would have ambushed in the forest undergrowth. As an apex terrestrial predator in an island ecosystem without mammalian carnivores, it filled a unique ecological role. The species is believed to have gone extinct following human colonization of the Hawaiian Islands, which brought habitat destruction and invasive species like rats, pigs, and dogs that decimated both the owl and its prey base. Its extinction, along with those of other Hawaiian birds, marks a dramatic collapse in native biodiversity after Polynesian settlement. The Chatham coot was a large, possibly flight-capable bird, slightly bigger than the New Zealand coot, with long legs, toes, and a disproportionately long neck. It lived around the brackish waters of Te Wanga Lagoon, as suggested by its large salt glands. Numerous remains found in Moriori middens indicate it was heavily hunted by the island's early inhabitants. Overhunting is considered the main cause of its extinction. Bahamian caracara was a large, now extinct bird of prey, once found in the Bahamas, closely related to the modern crested caracara, but more robust in build. It likely had strong legs and a hooked beak, suited for scavenging and possibly hunting small animals in open or coastal environments. Its ecological niche was that of a terrestrial scavenger, filling the role of a ground-based predator in an island ecosystem, lacking large mammalian carnivores. Ducula david, another extinct species of imperial pigeon, once inhabited the Uvea Island in New Caledonia Islands. Larger than most of its modern relatives, it likely fed on fruits high in the canopy, playing a key role in seed dispersal within the island's forests. Its extinction is closely linked to human colonization, which brought habitat destruction and invasive species such as rats, both major threats to ground nesting or flight-limited island birds. The plate-toothed giant hutia was a large, now extinct rodent species that once lived in Puerto Rico during the late Quaternary. It belonged to the family Echiumidea and was notable for its robust jaws and specialized teeth, suggesting a diet of tough plant material. Likely a slow-moving terrestrial herbivore, it may have inhabited dense forest floors and marshes. Its extinction appears to have occurred shortly after the arrival of humans on the island, possibly due to a combination of hunting and habitat alteration. The introduction of non-native predators such as dogs or mongooses may also have played a role in its disappearance. Mesocapromys craglievici was a small extinct Hutia species that once inhabited Cuba. It likely had a stocky body, strong incisors, and an herbivorous diet based on tough vegetation, much like its surviving relatives. This rodent probably occupied forested or shrubland habitats, nesting in crevices or hollow trees. Its extinction is thought to have been caused by habitat loss and the introduction of invasive predators following human colonization. Lena horse was a robust Ice Age equid native to the Siberian tundra steppe. It closely resembled modern horses, but had a thick coat and stocky build well suited to cold, dry climates. This species grazed on grasses and other steppe vegetation, playing a key role in the Pleistocene ecosystem alongside mammoths and woolly rhinoceroses. It went extinct around 2,200 years ago, likely due to a combination of climate change and human hunting. Gorilla lemur was the largest known lemur, reaching the size of a modern gorilla and weighing up to 200 kilograms. It was part of a group of extinct sloth lemurs that showed remarkable convergence with tree sloths, though this species likely moved slowly on the ground and in trees. Archaeoindris was a folivore, feeding mostly on leaves, and inhabited Madagascar's central highlands. Unlike its smaller relatives, it was too heavy for suspension-based movement and likely traveled on the ground between feeding areas. Fossil evidence suggests it went extinct just over 2,000 years ago, shortly after humans arrived in its habitat. Its disappearance was likely due to a mix of low reproductive rate, habitat destruction, and hunting pressure. The wild dromedary camel once roamed widely across the arid regions of the Arabian Peninsula. These animals were highly adapted to harsh desert environments, able to survive long periods without water and withstand extreme temperatures. However, increasing human presence and overhunting placed enormous pressure on wild populations. As early as several millennia ago, people in Arabia began hunting wild dromedaries for their meat, hides, and possibly even for their perceived prestige. By over 2,000 years ago, wild dromedaries had disappeared entirely from their native range, driven to extinction by unsustainable hunting and expanding human settlements. At the same time, these camels were being domesticated, a process that likely began around 3,000 to 4,000 years ago. Once domesticated, dromedaries became essential to trade, transport, and daily life in desert cultures, spreading far beyond their original range. Today, all dromedaries found in the wild are in fact feral populations, descended exclusively from domesticated ancestors. These animals are often found in regions like Australia, where they were introduced in the 19th century and later abandoned or released. Despite appearing wild, none of these camels carry the genetic signature of the original wild population. Thus, the true wild dromedary is considered extinct, its unique lineage lost long ago. Tongan giant iguana was a large iguana species characterized by its robust body and distinctive crest running along its back. It inhabited the forests of Fiji, where it played a key role as an herbivore, feeding mainly on leaves and fruits. This iguana occupied a niche as one of the top reptilian herbivores in its ecosystem. Its extinction is believed to have been caused primarily by human hunting and the introduction of invasive predators following human settlement. The Corsican giant shrew was a small shrew-like mammal with a slender body and sharp teeth adapted for an insectivorous diet. It lived on the island of Corsica, occupying forested and shrubland habitats where it fed on insects and other small invertebrates. This species filled an ecological niche as a small ground-dwelling predator, helping control insect populations. Its extinction is thought to have been caused by habitat changes and possibly competition or predation from introduced species after human arrival. The Sardinian pika was a robust, stocky lagomorph, larger than most mainland pikas, resembling a mix between a large wild rabbit and a pika. It inhabited diverse environments across Corsica and Sardinia, from sea level to mountainous areas, and was adapted to rocky terrain with strong jumping and digging abilities. Fossil evidence shows it had a high population density but suffered from arthritis, likely due to a longer lifespan than mainland relatives. This species was preyed upon by native carnivores and birds of prey. Humans arrived on the islands around 10,000 years ago and hunted the pika, contributing to its decline alongside habitat changes, introduced predators, competitors, and possible disease transmission. Hensel's field mouse was a medium-sized rodent with robust teeth, adapted for grinding tough plant material. It inhabited the island of Sardinia, living in varied terrestrial habitats. Its biology suggests it was well adapted to island life, but vulnerable to environmental changes and introduced species. The species went extinct due to a combination of human-driven habitat alteration and the introduction of invasive predators after human settlement. Tyrrhenian vole was an extinct species of vole that once inhabited the islands of Sardinia and Corsica. Physically, it had an estimated body mass of approximately 277 grams, substantially larger than its mainland ancestors, an example of island gigantism. Its extinction is thought to have been caused by human arrival, habitat changes, and possibly competition or predation from introduced species. Gibbons have held a significant cultural role in China for thousands of years, symbolizing nobility and serving as high-status pets since the Zhou dynasty. The remains of a previously unknown gibbon species, Junzi imperialis, were discovered in a tomb possibly belonging to Lady Xia, grandmother of China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang. Found alongside other animal remains in Xi'an, this discovery represents the first documented case of ape extinction following the last ice age. Historical records indicate that gibbons persisted near Chang'an until the 10th century and in Shanxi province until the 18th century, suggesting other extinct species may have existed. The findings challenge the belief that no ape species have been driven extinct by humans throughout history. This research highlights the importance of archaeological and historical data in understanding human impact on primate diversity and underscores the urgent need for international efforts to conserve remaining gibbon populations. Maui flightless ibis was a small, extinct flightless ibis endemic to the Hawaiian island of Maui. It had a short, robust beak and reduced wings, indicating it had fully adapted to a terrestrial lifestyle in the island's forested environments. Its niche likely involved foraging on the forest floor for invertebrates and possibly small vertebrates. The arrival of Polynesians around 1,000 years ago likely led to its extinction through a combination of habitat destruction, hunting, and the introduction of invasive predators such as rats and pigs. The Gran Canaria giant rat was a large herbivorous rodent endemic to Gran Canaria in the Canary Islands. It lived during the Holocene and went extinct 130 years before our era, likely due to human arrival and the introduction of feral dogs. This terrestrial species had some digging ability and could also climb trees, with a body length of nearly 30 centimeters and weighing up to 1.35 kilograms. It shared its fate with a close relative, the Tenerife giant rat, which also disappeared after human colonization. The ancient kua was an extinct species of koa, a group of ground-dwelling birds endemic to Madagascar and part of the cuckoo family. Known from subfossil remains, it was significantly larger than any living kua species, suggesting it occupied a unique ecological niche, possibly as a slow-moving terrestrial forager in forested habitats. The loss of this species highlights the vulnerability of island endemics to rapid environmental change and anthropogenic pressures. Bouler's Coryphames was a large rodent species from Timor Island belonging to the murid family. It was notable for its impressive size, comparable to a small rabbit, which places it among the largest murid rodents known. Based on fossil evidence, it likely inhabited forested or rocky environments and may have been omnivorous or herbivorous. The species probably went extinct due to a combination of human-driven factors such as hunting and habitat disturbance. Timor giant rat was another extinct giant rodent from Timor Island, closely related to the precedent rat. Slightly smaller than it, Timor giant rat still displayed unusually large body size for a murid and likely had similar ecological habits. Its remains have been found in cave deposits associated with early human activity, suggesting it coexisted briefly with humans before disappearing. Like its congener, its extinction was likely driven by hunting and habitat alteration following human colonization of the island. The São Miguel scops owl was an extinct ground-dwelling owl endemic to São Miguel Island in the Azores in northern Atlantic Ocean. Adapted to a terrestrial lifestyle, it had longer legs, a broader body, and shorter wings than its relatives, making it a poor flyer and more suited to hunting insects on foot in dense forests. Like other insular owls, it evolved in the absence of terrestrial predators, occupying a unique ecological niche. However, this specialization also made it vulnerable to environmental disruption. The arrival of humans in the Azores in the 15th century brought deforestation and invasive species like cats and rodents, leading to its extinction. Subfossil evidence places its existence between about 50 before our era and 125 year, with extinction likely occurring soon after human colonization. Lesser falcate winged bat was an extinct species of leaf-nosed bat once found in the Caribbean. It likely had a short, broad snout and large ears suited for echolocation, and its diet probably included fruit or insects. The causes of its extinction remain uncertain, but it likely disappeared due to habitat disturbance and ecological changes following early human colonization. Like many of the species lost during the Antiquity extinction wave, it illustrates how even small, seemingly resilient island animals were unable to withstand the pressures of hunting, habitat destruction, and introduced species brought by humans.